Any update on Chris and his condition? Last night, I think you said he had a dislocated ankle. Are there fractures? Has he undergone surgery? Just what is the plan kind of with him going forward?
He will be undergoing surgery very soon. He'll probably be out for the year. There's a chance if we make a late playoff run, he could be back, but he's undergoing surgery and he's going to be out.
And we didn't, I think on Sunday, Mike was off the injury report. It looked like he might have aggravated himself a little bit on that first touchdown catch. Was the thought just like he couldn't make it worse? And with Mike, would you expect them to be back really before the bye week at this point?
At this point, we're probably expecting after the bye week. He tweaked it pretty good when he fell on it on that play, and it's moderate, but it's hurting pretty good right now. So we'll probably say after the bye week, hopefully.
Gotcha. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Greg Allman.
Hey, Todd. Saw the move that went through today with Jake Camarda getting waived. I just want to ask you about that, about his drop-off, and what, if anything, you can say to explain why things didn't work out for him, and then also if you guys plan on moving forward with Trenton Gill as your punter.
Jake, he probably been in a slump for the past couple months of preseason. We're trying to help him get out of it, and just got stuck in it, and we had to make a decision. Bringing Gill up, we're going to go forward with him, but we will work some punters out as well. He's a very talented guy, and I think he can get back with punters. You never know. You can go through some Pro Bowl years, then you can kind of hit a slump for some years, and we couldn't afford to wait for him to get out of the slump, so we made the decision.
Thanks, Coach.
John Lane.
Hey, Coach, with Chris, I know last night you said the preliminary indication was that it was a dislocated ankle. Do you have any indication if there was additional structural damage? I know sometimes there can be ligament damage or bone chips that can accompany that.
There was a little more damage than that, but I'm not a medical person, so I couldn't sit here and begin to tell you the things that they told me. I just know it was serious.
Gotcha. And with Mike, I know, again, that he didn't practice this past week, and it was kind of a nagging injury. I don't know what the official diagnosis would be for that, if it's a more significant strain that he suffered or with the hammy.
He's got the hammy. It's the same hamstring, but it's in a different spot than it was before, and it's pretty sore. I don't know what the significance of that is either, but he's going to miss a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Scott Reynolds.
Todd, I wanted to ask you about your defense and what you saw when you went back and looked at the film last night. You guys have scored 31 points against the Ravens, 30 points against the Falcons, but it hasn't been enough to overcome what teams are doing to your defense.
We're still making about 3 or 4 mistakes. That's costing us. We misfit the 2 runs that Henry got out in the second half. We busted the coverage. Lamar threw the deep ball in the first half. We had nobody in the middle of the field, and we're working the kinks out there. The communication's got to be right, but we got to straighten out the coverages and the run fits. If you miss 1 or 2 run fits against those guys, they're going to kill you, and they're talented enough to do it, and they did it.
It wasn't just the run, though. Like Lamar Jackson completed 77% of his passes. You guys only broke up 1 pass. It just seemed like there were either holes in coverage or there were busts in coverage where you had Ravens players that were open catching the ball. What needs to be done to tighten up your coverage?
Communication.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah.
We'll go to James Hill.
Coach, can you talk about players galvanizing and coming together, wide receivers by committee, guys chipping in, next man up, guys want to help this team win and get first downs?
Well, the biggest thing when these guys have to step up, we're not going to ask them to be Mike and Chris. We know what they were when they made this team. We're going to ask them to do the things that they can do, and we're going to specialize in their talents and make them play fast and make them play hard, and then we'll be okay.
Rick Stroud.
Along those lines, Coach, we've talked about the quote-unquote 3-headed monster. It kind of showed last night. So now with these guys out, do you find yourselves on offense really utilizing the skills of all 3 of those guys too, since you're a little beat up at receiver?
Yeah, those 3 guys are going to play a significant part of the offense. We're going to have to be a little more creative in the way we do things, and May use one, may use two, may use all three at the same time. But we're gonna have to be creative, and that's what we're here for as coaches. So you never know what you can do until you know what you lost. So we got our work cut out for us, and we're excited to see it.
Thanks.
Greg Allman.
Todd, I'm sorry if you've answered this a little bit, but I guess I just want to ask you, after a half day here to evaluate your options, how aggressively you guys have looked at the other options, being a signing, being a trade, anything outside the building beyond what you have in the house right now?
We've looked at outside the building, but to get a true number one in here, you got to make some massive trades and give up quite a bit. And that's not where we are at this point. We feel comfortable with the guys in the building. They're probably not of name status of Mike and Chris or as accomplished right now, but that doesn't mean they can't play. We'll alter some things. And Jared will be back this week. We'll look at him in practice as well, and we'll make a decision off of that. But to go out and get a guy to come in here and be a number one and a dominant guy is probably going to cost you half your team. And we feel comfortable with the guys we have in here now, and we know what their skill sets are, and we're going to go with them right now.
So when you talked about the defense, and obviously communication plays a big part of that, it seems like the middle of the field has been consistently open. We saw it with Mark Andrews a couple times last night, and obviously in the last couple games that's been there. Is there something specific you can point to for why that seam has been picked up by opponents better than it has by your own defense, if you will, right now?
Again, it's communication. The guys got to be on the same page, and one guy thinks he heard something, some guys heard something else, and it ends up being like that, and we're going to lose games if we don't clean that up.
Thank you, Todd.
JC Allen.
Hey, so I just want to ask you, after watching the tape, Tarek Thunderberg making his first start as an undrafted free agent, what do you think? What did you like about what he did, and how would you assess his play yesterday?
I thought he had some solid plays. I thought he really did play a solid game. I think he misfit one of the run plays at the end that got out of there. But other than that, he was solid all ball game. He was sharp. He was heady. He was where he's supposed to be. And, he tackled.
And then as far as the offensive line, probably one of their best performances as a unit this season. Just what did you see out of the offensive line? Ravens coming into this only letting up 59 yards on the ground. You guys went for 125 combined. What can you say about the offensive line and the job they did yesterday, protecting Baker and opening up things in the running game?
Playing hard, being on the same page. I really think the chemistry has really gelled together down there very well, along with Baker and the wide receivers and the running backs, and they're doing a heck of a job right now.
Scott Reynolds.
I was going to ask the question that JC did about the offensive line play, but can you speak specifically about Graham Barton and his return from injury and how well he played going up against a guy like Matabuike and that tough Ravens interior?
He did a heck of a job. He really got out fast. He got up to the second level. Did an excellent job of pointing out the mic and getting protection set for us. And you can tell it's a lot easier for him now at this point in the season. Love the energy he plays with. He's a real joy to watch.
With this running game, this long-awaited running game that you've hoped would develop here the last couple of years arrived, how do you safeguard Baker Mayfield from trying to do too much without Mike and Chris, trying to maybe put on the Superman cape and do a little too much? Does he have to lean more on this running game now to prevent some of those interceptions that have popped up in the second quarter?
Yeah, it has to be part of what he does, but he just has to get it to the open guy. Throw it to the open man, don't try to force it downfield, and let them guys catch and run. Those guys are very good at catch and run. The great quarterbacks just get rid of the ball, throw it to the open guy. At least you don't turn it over, so we got to make sure we're getting that done.
Evan Klosky.
There we go. Todd, I'm wondering what the psyche of the team is the day after just so much happened, with Mike and with Chris, and how you move forward, kind of the messaging to the group.
Obviously, the hearts go out to Mike and Chris, and everybody's praying for those guys. But at the same time, when we lost the game, the psyche is the same 24-hour rule. We got a short week. We got to get ready to play Atlanta. We're still playing for first place in the division. A lot of football left to be played, and we got to clean up some things and be ready.
Jenna Lane.
I know Greg touched on this a bit, but Obviously, you don't have Tom Brady as your quarterback. However, Baker Mayfield was leading the NFL in touchdowns going into this game, and I believe he still is. What kind of indication have you gotten from the front office, from ownership, that they would be potentially willing to borrow from the future in the way that they have previously to support this guy? Because so far, there have been a lot of moves made in free agency around Baker to support him.
Well, we don't talk about that as much. Mike and Chris just got hurt yesterday. There are smart moves out there for us to make. We're definitely looking to make moves all the time if it benefits us. At the same time, we believe in developing our young receivers and getting those guys ready to play, and that's what coaching is for. You can't just go out and grab every $50 million receiver and come in and automatically expect them to play. You got to have some faith in what the young guys doing and the growth that they're doing, and we're confident in those guys, and we're going to play with them.
And speaking of the young guys, Trey Palmer, we saw him get, I want to say, 3 targets yesterday. He was able to get 1 catch. I know he had the concussion. Where is he in terms of, is he able to kind of assume a full workload at this point? I know, again, he was out a few weeks.
He'll definitely be able to assume a full workload. Trey's very fast. Obviously, when the game plan's built around Mike and Chris a lot, it's going to take a little while to get in there, and now he'll get his chance.
Thank you.
We have time for a few more. We'll go to JC Allen.
Coach, just want to ask you if you had an update, obviously, on Tyke Smith, obviously in the concussion protocol, but if there's anything other lingering injuries or anything, anybody else came out of this game banged up more so that you guys need to keep an eye on?
Well, the list is not all the way full yet, but he is in concussion protocol on a short week. We'll see what happens, but that's usually tough on a short week.
And then as far as K-Dot, one of the guys who got pretty banged up on some of those catches that he made, but finished the day with 8 receptions for 100 yards, career highs for him in both. Just what can you say about him coming on as a pass catcher when you guys needed him most, and his ability to kind of, we talked about his blocking continuing to progress throughout this season, but just him kind of stepping in when you guys needed him most last night.
He's a solid player. He made some tough catches last night, and he got hit when he was making them, and he bounced off some and ran with the ball. Cade's always reliable. Anytime you put it in his area, there's a good chance he comes down with it. He'll get more of them.
All right, that's all we have. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.